You're listening to Perfectly Normal. This is a podcast where I bring you love, courage, and connection. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I'm a confidence and leadership coach where I work with negative self-talkers to get them to believe in the talent that they have in reaching their full potential in both personal and professional life. I'm the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. It's a coaching and seminar company. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for listening into this episode. Last night, our power went out. Or actually, it was earlier than that. So yesterday, we experienced the highest temperature ever recorded in the LA County. So I live in California, and the place where I live in or reside in is the LA County. So California is so big. So there's like Orange County, there's if you go further out, there's San Diego, there's San Bernardino County. And so I belong in the Los Angeles County. Now, we had a record high temperature of 113 Fahrenheit. I can't do the conversion. So those of you who live in a matrix system, you would have to do a little conversion yourself. But it was really high. So I was actually being able to do my virtual vision board event in the morning, and everything runs really smoothly. And suddenly, by 1:00, I look on my phone. You know how your phone has this weather app. So I turned on my weather app, and it shows that it was 113. It was just so beyond bearable. And this is something that I started to think about, like all these things and talk about climate change. And there's people who think that this is all a something that's made up and it's not real. We're just hearing people. I remember reading a book years ago. I can't remember who wrote it, but it was a book about how this whole climate change, it's not a fictional theory, it's actually real event. And I remember a couple of years ago, I went to an Eckhart Tolle conference, and during the conference, someone from the conference, I was sitting next to him, and he happened to be the scientist who go and collect data at North Pole. And he was sharing that every year when he traveled to North Pole to collect data, he can see those glaciers actually melt away in front of him. So every year when he goes, it's melting. So it's an actual real event for those of us who are aware of the data, who've been following the event, who's been following all the changes in our climate, who's been exposed into topics like this. So we know that it's real. It's a real thing, and you can feel this every year as we experience higher temperature or more extreme weather. And these are all caused by the climate change. And the climate change, a lot of it has to do with us taking individual personal responsibility in making sure that we're recycling things, we're using less of the carbon emissions, and all these things require us to have a really conscious mind. And having that conscious mind means that you're taking the right actions based on your right consciousness. So, which is another big topic. I won't go into it in today's episode. But, the reason why we're having this high temperature is because, all the changes that we are experiencing throughout the years, and that we finally started to actually see it in our lifetime. Things that we thought we wouldn't have to see it in years down the road, now we're seeing it. So maybe this could be a wake-up call for a lot of people. The fact that we're experiencing this high temperature, it's not something that just out of nowhere, right? This is something that we already knew it's coming, but and now it's coming at a faster rate. And last year, I went to a United Nations Silver Society conference. And during the conference, the biggest theme was climate change. So there was a lot of companies who's already practicing and being compliant with the climate change. So there are total of 17 sustainable development goals that the United Nations, all these nations had come together and decide upon that these are the goals that to be met in when we go to 2035. So we got another 15 years ago. Yeah. And it's really shocking to actually experiencing this high temperature and knowing what is coming. And if we don't comply to what we have agreed upon to follow through those 17 sustainable development goals, then we're going to see all these effects much sooner than what we had originally expected. So that's a little background in terms of the high temperature. And let me just make a correction. I think I had said that we have to meet those goals by 2035, right? So the correction is actually we have to meet those goals by 2030. So we got another 10 years to go to be meeting those 17 sustainable goals. So what are the 17 sustainable development goals that we had agreed upon as internationally at the United Nations? So there's goal number 1, no poverty. Goal number 2 is zero hunger. Goal number 3 is good health and well-being. Goal number 4, quality education. And then there's gender equality, clear water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructures, reduce inequality, sustainable cities and community, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice, strong institution. And the last goal would be partnership to achieve the goals. So each nation, they can pick one or several different goals to work on. And so is each company, each individual. You get to decide which goals that you would like to work on, taking that responsibility of working on it. So last year when I was at the conference, there was a lot of company who were focusing on climate change or climate actions and creating that sustainable cities and community. So where I live in Pasadena, California, it's considered a green city because a couple of years ago, we had put out an initiative to create a city that is green. So you'll see a lot of trees that's being planted. There you'll see a lot of recycling instructions and rules and regulation that was in place. And how do we promote the clean air? How do we educate our community to practice these to become a green city? So all that initiative was passed by the city in the local community. So there's a lot of different ways that people can get involved and really contribute to making this a better world. And when you do that, when you actually think about what is it that you can contribute to bring a wellness of this world, of this nation, of your community, you stop thinking about yourself. There's, we had talked about this in the past about that ego self and about the self who's always seeking, and there's that trying to reach to the place where we're looking for something to satisfy our own need. And when you start thinking about having that broader view of what is it that I can do to contribute to bring the wellness of my community, you stop focusing on that ego self. And you start to think about what can I do to serve and to create, to impact and to influence others so that we can all thrive together. So that is the 17th Sustainable Development Goal. And yesterday, so I started thinking about, wow, I can't believe that this is so hot. And as the temperature went out, I went outside because, so I actually have this pool in the backyard that I when we first bought the house, it was something that we all wanted it. We were still very young and we all wanted this pool. And it's and there's a lot of water, right? So I decided, you know what, maybe I'll go take a swim. And the minute I stepped outside, oh, the heat was unbearable. And when you are in that extreme heat, one thing that you are not aware of is the radiation that's coming off from the exposure to the sun. So the radiation was actually really high. So even as I stepped outside, just for a couple of minutes, I wasn't even out very long, like 2-3 minutes, I could feel my skin was really warm. It was warm to touch, and my eyes would just kind of start to dry up. And it was just so much that I have to come back inside. But inside it was pretty much the same because the power was out, so the AC was off. And where I live, my room is kind of, during the afternoon, the sun is kind of just shining directly into the room. So you can imagine I was really sitting in a toaster oven. And unfortunately, I had a meeting to be a call to be on. So I was sitting here in the toaster oven for a good 1 hour just to be on the meeting. And by the time I got off the phone, I realized, wow, this is unbearable. So I actually had to relocate to a different area in my house where they have a cooler air pocket where I can, just chill myself down. Later on, of course, we decided, we wanted to go to the mall where just to walk around, and we were wearing our masks. We were just walking around and just kind of enjoying that moment of the AC, the cool air that the mall has to offer. And it turns out the mall was closed. So we end up going to the department store where, we were just walking around and enjoying the AC. And so it made me realize that how much we're taking things for granted. There's a lot of things that we take for granted. The electricity, the water, all these natural resources. You don't realize it until you lose it. And this is what happened in life. We get so used to something because it's very convenient. Like whether it's another person or a thing, all these around us, all these resources that's available to us, many times we take it for granted. Oh, that person is around. That person, I can always rely on that person to do things for me. I can always rely on that person to, be there for me. And when, for whatever reason, that change, and we all know that the life go through a cycle of change, right? People will get old, people will pass, and it's all natural part of life. And life is a cycle of changes. So when things do happen, it becomes an inconvenience to us. So perhaps you were relying on someone else to listen to all your problems, giving you all that support. And suddenly when that changed, it becomes an inconvenience for us. And then we realize that you had taken that person for granted. So something that's lost is really hard to grasp. And there is no solution to grieving. This is something that just came up recently. So I've been sharing my recorded meditation on Insight Timer. So if you look on Insight Timer, when you go download the app, you can actually find me and you can hear my recorded meditation session that I have shared on the Insight Timer app. And someone from the audience, someone from the Insight Timer has shared with me that she had recently lost her mom, and there's, her sister, her relatives are not doing as well. And so this is all heavy stuff. And during the pandemic, a lot of people are going through this heavy stuff. So what do you do when you experience that negativity? It's not, you can't even call it negativity because it's a natural part of this process people are going through. So how do you deal with, what do you say to people who are experiencing going through this grieving process? So here's an idea. How about let's just listen to each other? How about let's just take some time and really get into the conversation and just being present for whoever it may be that you're speaking to? What if you just take an extra 5 minutes, just extra 5 minutes out of your day? And whoever you're meeting after you listen to this podcast, whoever you come across, how about you just give that person 5 more minutes just to hear him out or hear her out? Just listen to that person. Because when we take things for granted and when we rush through things, when we stop giving each other time that we needed to understand each other, we're losing that connection that was given to us, that was so valuable to all of us. So how about you just give that extra 5 minutes to that person who's talking to you? Just give that 5 minutes and listen, understand. You may not agree, but you make an effort to understand what that person is going through, and you made an effort to understand what's happening in that person's life. When you do that, you build a better connection, you build a better relationship, and you actually giving yourself the most valuable gift that you can ever possibly receive. That generosity coming out from another person. Maybe that person will give you a smile, give you a hug, whatever that it is that you will receive in return. Maybe it's wisdom, maybe it's knowledge. And thank you so much for giving me extra 5 minutes today to share this with you. So 5 minutes is not a very long time. If you think about how much time we have on earth here in this real life, 5 minutes is really not a whole lot of time. So just take 5 minutes, talk to that person in front of you, be in that moment, and just listen. Listen to each other, understand each other. And maybe you would have a different perspective about that person or about yourself. And after all, we're all here to learn about ourselves. So that's that. I did get my power back, by the way. So the power actually came back this morning at 5 o'clock. This is why I'm able to record this podcast. And hopefully, today's topic will give you some insight in terms of what you have been taking for granted and how much time have you been giving to the person around you to stay in that present moment? How much time have you given yourself to be in that present moment? Take a commitment, pick a time frame that's reasonable for you. Maybe 5 minutes is too long for you. Maybe it's too short for you. Pick whatever that resonates with your heart, and always listen to your heart for what is right, and start practicing it. I think that is the most important thing. Start practicing it. Don't just listen to, podcasts, and don't just listen to me, or don't just read my blog or post. Go and start practicing them and come back and share with me. I always welcome conversation. I will give you more than just 5 minutes. Yeah. So you're welcome to follow me on social media. I am on Instagram at Elevate Life Coach, and on Facebook, you can find me at Life Coaching by Elevate, or you can send me an email. I always love and enjoy conversation with you. So send me an email at michelle.quei, Kuei, at gmail.com. And I will see everyone next time. And stay cool for those of you who lives in Southern California. And if you're living in a tropical area, be careful, stay clear of the hurricane, and keep yourself safe. And I will see everyone next time. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. In order for this conversation to continue, I would like to invite you to join my private Facebook group, The Confidence Lab for Remarkably Courageous People. This is where we can continue this conversation to bring more love, courage, and connection in helping each other and supporting each other in moving forward in our lives. If you found value in this show, I would appreciate if you can give me a rating on iTunes or Spotify, or simply share this show with a friend who may benefit from hearing it. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. If you'd like to learn more about what I do as a coach, please visit my website at elevatelifecoaching.org or shoot me an email. See you on the next show.